Hey, how's it going? It's Jessey here from the Land Investing Business Secrets podcast. There's not much secrets here with Michael on this episode. He's literally going to share with you how he gets laser focused on a list, how he does due diligence more than just the people that will open up your profit margins, and how he makes an offer. He doesn't just make one offer. It's a very, very jam-packed, tactical episode here. So take notes. This is one of those episodes. I'm sure you're going to enjoy this episode here with Michael Robertson. All right, everybody, we've got our guest here, Michael Robertson. Michael, how you doing?
Good. So good to see you. Doing
Yeah,
really well.
I've had you on the podcast before, worked with you plenty, and it's always inspirational to see how busy you stay and head down, continuing to build out your land business. And wanted to catch up with you on some of the happenings. We're in 2026. Where are we? What are we trying right now in your land business? Where are you really focusing your energy on right now?
I really niche down, so I work the bottom of the funnel, and I only want to contact people they need to sell. So I'm saving money on marketing, I'm saving time, and ideally I'm doing more deals, but maybe a little bit different. I have 14 different niches that I market to,
Yeah.
and a little bit different. Most people do their due diligence on the property, and I'm thinking, you've got this all wrong. You want to do your due diligence on the property, but I really go deep on my due diligence on the people.
Mm.
So I understand. I know their age, their gender, their marital status. I know their annual income. I know their net worth. I know their credit scores. And then I run a background on them. And so I know if they have bankruptcies, liens, judgments. I pull criminal history, business licenses, and business affiliations. But what that really helps me do is I could have two identical properties next door to each other, and I offer one guy 10,000, next guy 6,000, because he's been arrested 23 times and it got a low credit score and behind on the taxes, or tried to sell it on the MLS and they failed. And so I think if people did their due diligence on the buyers do their due diligence on the sellers and the background on them, they can really fine tune their list and make more money per deal.
Wow. So okay. There's two things there. You are marketing to the bottom of the funnel, so people who actually want to sell, and then are you doing the due diligence after when you've
Yeah,
gotten a
I
response?
always do the due diligence before I make an offer. I'm digging deep and I'm getting ready to make my offers, but instead of one offer, I always give them three, and they can take their choice. And they typically end up negotiating against themselves instead of against me. And they always end up taking the lowest one because it's a cash quick close. But
Yeah.
then I'll do the due diligence, and that doesn't, it takes 2 minutes.
Right.
But, I know every time they've been arrested, what they've been arrested for. I had one guy that was an out-of-state fugitive. So we didn't end up doing the deal, but you can dig real deep, and you really understand their motivation. So it's coming from a motivated list,
Yeah.
and then I understand have they been in trouble? You know,
Yeah.
do they need the money and those type of things? So it really helps. And then you give them the three offers, and work less. I save money on marketing and do more deals.
Let's talk about each of those things. First, let's talk about marketing to those at the bottom of the funnel or those that are motivated. Like, how are you ensuring that they're motivated? What are you doing to reduce that size of your list so you've got a much more, honed in and focused list?
Yeah.
What are you doing there?
Well, what a niche a lot of people want to market to is people that have owned it for a long time, 20 years, they live out of state. And I do that, but there's three lists I pull where they've owned for 5 years or less. And most people are not pulling those. So I know if the property's gone through probate in the last 5 years. I know if there's been a death certificate in the last 5 years or a quick claim deed in the last 5 years. An example would be the mom lives in Florida, the property's in Florida. She quick claims it to the son who lives in California. Well, what's he get every year? He gets a tax bill. And the recent one that I just did, the woman, it went through probate 3 years before. And so I mailed to her, and she called, and she said she wanted $10,000. I pulled up my comps, and I had 15,000, 17,000, three doors down. And so I bought it for 10, and I sold it an hour and a half later for 15.9. And that was a probate lead.
Okay. So you're pulling these lists, you're running them through these filters. I mean, are you open to sharing some of these tools with the listeners
Yeah,
here that
I have no secrets. It's just all out there. That list, I call it my $100 list. So that's probate, death certificates, and quick claims. So on the appraiser's website, if it's not an arm's length transaction, they put a value in there. And where I am, the value is $100. It went from one party to the brother or sister, and I get that directly from the appraiser's website. You can pull a list like that through PropStream. What I do find though sometimes, and I use PropStream as well, I find that the county data sometimes is a little bit better. It's a source. It's a
Yeah.
source of the information. So I get that from the county. Then I'll go ahead and build my list. Let's just say I build a generic list of people that have owned for 20 years or longer that live out of state.
Mm.
And then I'll take that list and I run it through Versium. And Versium will give me their age, their gender, their marital status. I know their annual income, their net worth, the credit scores, phone numbers, emails, year, make, and model of car. So I can go through there and I can do a campaign by people that are 65 or over. About
Mm.
60% of my deals are people that are 65 or over. But if I list stack and I see they're 65 or over, they've got a 499 credit score, they're making $20,000 a year, and they're behind on their taxes, they need to sell. And so then it's a matter of contacting them, but continuously following up. And I find that's where most people get frustrated or go do something else. They will mail out 500 postcards. They don't get a deal. They're done. But you have to go ahead and pick a good county or counties, build an excellent list, continuously follow up. And some of those will turn into, I just bought one from Mr. Woon, 81, I think. And I bought it for 24,000. I listed it with the realtor and sold it for 40. I just bought another one that it had been in the family for 80 years and great lot, and bought it for 25 and sold it for 52. And that gentleman had tried to sell it on the MLS 2 years before and it failed. And that's another great list, is failed MLS listings. The good thing about that list, I make sure that I'm searching for properties that failed from 3 years ago to 8 years ago. And the reason I go back three, I've got 3 years of appreciation ideally.
Mm.
So, and then I know what they listed it for and they failed. But the good thing about that list, everyone on there wants to sell their property.
Right.
So,
Right.
delinquent taxes, code enforcement liens, failed MLS, credit scores under, say, 600, people over 65, the $100 list, probate, quick claim deeds, and death certificates. So that's a sample of the 14 lists that I market to.
Yeah, I know you've got very niche lists that
Yeah.
you approach, and you've talked about this before. I've had you talk about this before, and it's amazing to see how niche you get, and you're still working those lists.
Yeah.
So, okay, we get an idea here how you can sort of niche down in your list. You mentioned about doing due diligence on people. So when they respond, you do your due diligence before you make the offer. Can you walk us through that process? What are you using and what are you
Yeah.
looking for?
I do two things. I'll go to the clerk of the court, and anything that's recorded in the people's name will be on the clerk of the court's website. So I can see whether they have child support or they own 10 properties. I also know how many properties they own before I make an offer, and I'll pull that. And then I use a tool called IDI Core. It's great for skip tracing. It's great. It's got phone numbers, it's got emails, it's got relatives, and you can click on the relatives and find the parents, the brothers, the sisters, the neighbors, and that will it's $1.75 a search. So I only use it when I'm going to make offers, but then it gives me bankruptcies, liens, judgments, criminal history, business affiliations, business licenses, and as well as the data that I get through Versium that gives me the credit scores and the age and the gender and what have you. So I've got a pretty good picture, and they're coming from a motivated list, first of all.
Right, right.
And then I run it through all that. So I'm getting the motivated list, but I'm just taking the cream of the crop, the bottom of the funnel.
Mm. Now, I'm assuming you're doing the property due diligence before you do the owner due diligence. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, just,
You run.
just doing the same county. It's a quick, couple minute deal. Does it have road access, wetlands, flood zones, easements, those type of things? And, it make sure it's buildable. And do that, and then we'll go ahead and we'll call, text, and then mail.
All right. So you heard about doing your due diligence, looking for road access, flood zones, wetlands, elevation. These are things you need to do before you make an offer. And these are one of the things that are completely built right into Pebble. In fact, when you bring in all your properties into Pebble, every single property has its own mapping system where you can look at the flood zones, the wetlands, the road access, click around neighboring parcels and see the information, elevation. That's all built in so you can make your offer quickly. You don't need another platform to do that. You can keep all your notes in one place and centralize the team in one place, or even if it's just yourself for now. There is so much we're doing in the platform of Pebble to really make real estate investing, or specifically land investing, a lot easier and simplified in one platform. It is built from the ground up. This isn't a skin over any existing platform. And if you check out our YouTube channel, you'll see my co-founder and I share the things that we're continuing to work on. I mean, one of the big things recently, a lot of people are getting into projects and developments and subdivision. So we created a new notes section where you can pin and have conversations about those projects you're working on. Anyways, if you want to learn more about Pebble, head over to pebblerei.com/demo. Book a time with me. Happy to chat with you. If you're getting deals done, if you want to grow your business, if you want to continue to scale and be consistent, again, hop on a call with me. Anyways, enjoy the rest of this episode here with Michael Robertson. Okay. And then, so you're doing the due diligence on the person. Like, how does that affect you to make an offer? Like, what am I supposed to do with that information?
Yeah. Well, I know their income, I know their age, I know what list they came from. They're probably delinquent on the taxes. But then when I do that background also, I'll know their age. But if they have an extensive criminal record, maybe they have poor judgment. It's just an indicator that there might be more motivation there. And if they have bankruptcies, liens, or judgments, I can see exactly what those are as well. So the more issues, the more conservative my offer is, the lower my offer is.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. How do you are you lowering it by a percentage point or 10%? Like, how are you thinking of how to
Um,
come in with a
an
lower
example
offer?
would be two identical lots. One guy's been arrested 23 times. I offer the guy with the 800 credit score $10,000. I offer the guy with all the issues approximately $6,000.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. And then any sort of standout items that we should be looking out for when we're doing the due diligence on people? Is there something that takes priority over everything else? You know, all the things that you're checking from the
Yeah.
car model to their marital status, like
Well, you know,
what's
60
important to you?
60% of our deals are people 65 or over. So
Okay.
they've owned it for a substantial amount of time. They're never gonna use the property. So
Right.
I'll look at that first, and it's just in a spreadsheet. It's very easy to see, and then I'll look at the annual income. So if they're 65, I go to annual income, and it's 20,000, and I go to credit score, and it's 499. You can really prioritize a list. You know, you'll save on mailing, and if they're not ready now, it's when. You know, so sometimes I've talked to people for a couple of years, and then they're finally ready. When I'm talking to them, I already know everything about the property. But, you know, I'm primarily just trying to build rapport. So I'm in Pensacola, and if they're in New York, I said, "Oh my gosh, I see you live in New York. When was the last time you were in Pensacola?" 20 years ago. So I know that they'll never use that property. And,
Right.
you know, life circumstances change. Maybe they got credit card bills, or someone's getting married, or you know, someone may have passed away, or someone's going to college. Those things change, and it's just converting a percentage of my list. So I used to market to 4,000 people. My list is about 1,000 right now. Yeah, I keep it real small, and if I can convert 10% of those deals a year, well, that's 100 deals. If I can convert 5%, that's 50. If I can convert 3%, that's 2.5 deals a month.
Yeah. Michael, just is there ever a time you kind of skip over doing the people due diligence, or as long as they pass the property due diligence, they're going to go into your people due diligence?
Yeah, I do that. It will sometimes make a couple of $1,000 a deal by
Wow.
doing that.
Okay. Got you. So, I mean, the whole point of that is really to widen up the profit margin even more when you're doing the due
Yeah,
diligence and you're sort
and
of leaving.
understand their motivation.
Okay. And then you talked about making multiple offers, 3 offers specifically. But how do you structure this? What are the difference,
Yeah,
between
I'll give
each
you
offer?
an example of a deal we just did. The lady paid $7,800 for a property 7 or 8 years ago. Said she would not sell it for under 7,500. So I gave her 3 offers. Offered her 8,500, more than she wanted. Lower financing for 2 years. I offered her the 7,500 she wanted,
Yeah.
close in 90 days. So if I wanted to do an assignment or double close, I could do that. And she said she would not take under 7,500. Offered her 6,500, close in 2 weeks. Took 6,500. So that made me an extra $1,000. She didn't negotiate against me. Just did another one. I offered the lady 12,218, 13,218, and 14,218. She took the 12,218, never countered, never negotiated.
What was different about other than the amount? Why did she take that offer
Yeah,
over the
just
other?
the terms. 14,000 is seller financing for 2 years. The
Mm.
13,000 closed in 90 days. 12,218 uh, closed in 2 weeks and sold it for 31.
Got you. Do you see people typically take a certain offer like seller finance or faster cash? Like what do you typically see?
They all take cash. They all take cash. Cash close in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. So the
Yeah.
the timeline they typically will want a faster timeline than a longer timeline and more. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I haven't had one take seller financing yet.
Wow.
But what
Okay.
happens is they say, "Well, 12,218, that's too low." And I said, "Well, you can pick one of the other options."
Yeah.
And so they just take it.
Wow. And I'm assuming you're finding a buyer after even closing it, not within the 2 week or the 4 week window. Is that right?
Yeah, well, when I get the agreement signed, usually within 30 minutes, I'm marketing the property.
Wow.
So,
Okay. And
the one we bought, the probate deal we bought for 10 and sold for 15.9, I owned it for an hour and a half.
where did you end up marketing that?
I'm trying to remember who bought that one. We probably did it on Facebook Marketplace, but we went to the title company at noon on a Wednesday. Then my wife and I went and had lunch, and we came back, and the end buyer came in and signed, and we picked up our check.
That's a nice lunch to be having.
And, people Habitat for Humanity is a great client. There's 4 people involved in that transaction, and it's a win-win for everybody involved. A lot of people don't know, but go to the Home Builders Association, and if you go there, you can find your local branch. There's, I think, 91 builders in my area. I work with 11 of them. So then
And
usually it's just a phone call.
and is that what I mean? Tell us what Habitat for Humanity is.
Habitat for Humanity is a nonprofit home builder. They help people that are deserving get in a house. So the people have to put 400 hours worth of work in the house building it. So it helps Habitat. It helps the person that sold to us. It
Mm.
helps the first time home buyer. So there's a lot of people involved. So the guy there, David's become my buddy. So we go out to lunch, and I don't put it out to a whole bunch of builders and try to get them to bid against each other. I just call one. And I just called David, I've got this property. I sent him the link, and he says, "Yeah, I'll take it."
Do you always go back to the same builder?
I have, I don't know, 11 I work with, and there's a lot more I could possibly work with. But another nugget that people could do, I went to the permitting office, and they gave me a list of everyone that taken out a permit to build a new single family home in the last 2
Wow.
years. So I've got hundreds of builders.
Yeah. It's always it amazes me how resourceful you are, Michael, when it comes to
Yeah.
like looking under everything and making sure and you sort of like connect the dots really easily. I mean, this is what makes deal making and this game so creative in terms of the way you think and the way you look for things. Michael, you literally came into this show just dropping bombs after bombs.
I'm an open book, you're welcome to share my contact information with anyone. Um,
Yeah.
Always happy to hop on a call with anyone.
Well, Michael, how can people get engaged from you? Maybe, I don't know if you have a community that you want to share. I know you did have a community. I think you still have one. Tell us a little bit about how people can learn a little bit more about
Yeah,
yourself.
there's a TikTok channel. I think I've got 14,000 followers on there, and I believe it's Flip number 4 Real Pros. There's a YouTube channel. You probably have to put my name in there. I'm not sure exactly what the title of it
Yeah.
is. And I've got a Facebook group with 6,000 people. It's land flipping number 4 for real estate professionals. Land flipping for real estate professionals. Give my phone number if that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
it's easy. It's my cell. It's
Holy smokes. Well, listen, I always tell people that are needing to figure things out to just meet others and talk to others, people
yeah.
like Michael. Michael, you're so generous with your time, and you learn from people like Michael who have so much insight into figuring out how to get these deals done. Michael, it's always such a pleasure to have you on
Well,
and
I
chat about.
appreciate you. I appreciate Pebble. It's the source where everything's held in Pebble.
Yeah.
Keep everything organized there.
Well, I appreciate you mentioning that. Listen, for those of you guys who are listening, you have a chance to work with Michael or contact him. I don't know if you partner on deals, but Michael's here. We'll make sure to include his contacts in the show notes. Michael, thanks again for coming on, talking about how you find your list and how you do your due diligence on people and how you make an offer so they bid against themselves. Really, really appreciate that. Thanks again for coming
I
on the show,
appreciate you.
Michael.
Thank you very much.